Hi everyone. So I guess I've avoided doing this one as long as I could, just because I didn't feel ready to say anything that would be meaningful um, or helpful. So on February 14th on Valentine's Day, I watched with the rest of the world something horrific unfold in Parkland, and I actually happened to be at work, and at the time. Parkland is about an hour and a half drive from where I work. I work in a hospital. And so I figured, we were warned, be ready. We might be getting um, patients or students from from the event. Um, Fortunately for us, we didn't because we were too far south. Fortunately, because I think it would have been really difficult to handle. But I know that our sister hospitals up north did get the patients, the students, and they handled them beautifully. But we all knew that our lives would never be the same again. And we all knew that what we did in the emergency room, specifically in terms of what I do in terms of Baker Acts and screening them, would would just change, and it has immediately. So one of the reasons why I have not spoken is because I've actually been busy working. So in the state of Florida, we have something called a Baker Act, and it's a Baker Act is a law in the state of Florida that if someone is a threat to themselves or others, they can be hospitalized for up to, I think it's not up to, it's for 72 hours for screening and treatment and to keep themselves safe and to stabilize them. And then, they're either released or they're continued depending on where they are. So when kids are Baker acted, whether they're anything up to 18, they come to the emergency room, and who can Baker act? Police officers can Baker act. Social workers like myself can Baker Act, doctors can Baker Act, licensed mental health counselors can Baker Act. And so a lot of times, school counselors that are licensed will Baker Act. So kids will say things like, I want to kill myself, or I'm feeling sad and I'm depressed, or I want to hurt someone else. And they will be Baker Acted, or there will be signs like, cutting or notes that they've written or whatever it is, and they'll be brought in either Baker acted or the parents will bring them in voluntarily for screening. And it becomes a jobs of people like myself and the doctors in the ER to determine if it is a legit, is this someone that is actually in immediate danger to themselves, or is this someone that can go home with follow-up, referrals and whatnot. So it's needless to say, our numbers have got tripled since Parkland shooting. Although, it's not a direct, so we're not seeing, obviously kids that were directly impacted by it because we're too far south. But what we're seeing is kids overall whose anxiety and depression has been triggered because of the Parkland shooting. And needless to say, we expect that to continue, but what I'm also hearing a lot and I'm seeing a lot is that it's not just the children, it's actually adults as well. The same thing happened after 9/11. The same thing happens after any major, tragedy, and it's happening now. So I guess, I felt, I wouldn't say helpless, because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and, she was asking me why I haven't spoken on it. And partly was because I didn't think I had anything useful to say. And so what could I possibly say? I felt it wasn't even that I was feeling numb. It's just I was just dealing with trying to do my job in terms of helping whoever came in. And honestly, it was so draining at the end of it that I didn't have energy to even think. But I saw a Huffington, New York Times actually a post today. I get those in the email, and it said, the Parkland kids, students, as great as they have been in terms of being activists and trying to get attention and momentum, they're now starting to experience PTSD, the anxiety, the depression, it's all starting to happen and kick in, which is expected, right? Unfortunately. And which is where I woke up this afternoon, when I saw when I got the email, the New York Times post. I finally posted on Facebook that I was happy to help and work with anyone directly impacted by that. I have worked with a couple of families who had students there, and this last week, but I know that the need is a lot more. But here's what I want to say after all of that. It's normal and natural to feel scared, to feel afraid, to feel hopeless, to feel overwhelmed, by the sheer lack of control that we have over the safety of our environment. Parkland was considered I think it was the top 20 schools in the nation. And, for something to happen in Parkland, it's where are you safe, right? But then, so it's normal, number one, to feel overwhelmed and to feel scared and to feel hopeless. But, I have to go back and remind myself more than anything, as much as I remind you all, that in any given situation, right, there's only two emotions, two places at the end of all emotions, whether it's, the positive emotions or whether it's the negative emotions. It's only two emotions, fear or love, right? And I understand, I get it. I'm working with families that have lost kids, and I'm working not necessarily in the Parkland shooting, but I've worked with families that have lost young kids, and I'm working with families, whose students were part of, the students while it was happening. So I get it. And then now the parents are experiencing anxiety and PTSD because now the enormity of what their kids experienced and what it could have been for their kids it's hitting them. But what I want to remind you all is, in any given situation, let's not let fear win, right? Let's step into gratitude. It's over. Unfortunately, we've lost 17 beautiful, beautiful, priceless souls who the stories are, you've heard them all, heartbreaking and inspiring all at the same time. I cannot begin to imagine what these families are going through. But for those of us that are here and hurting with them, let's step into gratitude. Let's step into prayer. Let's step into love. Let's step into, praying for everyone. Let's send positive energy. Let's pray for everyone affected by it. Let's send healing light out there instead of coming from a place of fear and worrying about, what could happen. Let's use this to now, motivate us to do something, right? These young students that are stepping up and challenging and taking on so intelligently and so beautifully and effectively. Let's join the movement. Let's use this as a way to bring about change. Let's, if the least you can do is offer prayers. If you feel helpless, then step into prayer and offer prayers, because guys, prayer is powerful. God is powerful. So just pray, because that alone, you're changing the vibrational frequency of the energy around you and the energy of the planet. But if you are inspired and have the bandwidth to do more, then definitely, I know there's a walk coming up the kids are working on, join a movement, make your voices known, remind each other, support each other. Let's create safe spaces so we can talk about how we're scared, so we can talk about how we're afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to feel lost. It's just what I'm suggesting is don't stay stuck in that, right? push yourself and step into gratitude and think about all the things you have to be grateful for. The biggest one, that you're alive. The biggest one, that you have, so many blessings in your life. And you have, the freedom to pray and make a difference. Um, you know, there's I'm not sure, if this is something that ever is going to, go away per se anytime soon. I hope it doesn't, right? Because I think change is way overdue, and I hope and pray that, Sandy Hook, the tragedy of Sandy Hook, these kids were babies and the parents, were mourning, and they did what they did, to grieve and make movements. Pulse happened, and then we had Las Vegas happen, and now we've got, Parkland, and hopefully, I don't see this going away anytime soon, and it's exciting. It's exciting, it's inspiring, it's hopeful, and so, there's just people have been asking me, why aren't you doing any of your videos? And it's like, how can I sit and talk about, relationships, or talk about other stuff, or so many different topics, that I want to talk about, that I know would be helpful, unless I, address sort of, the big thing that everyone is talking about, right? That everyone is affected by. So having said that, I've offered this to anyone directly affected by this event, or any event, for that matter. I'm happy to work with you for free. If this is something that if you know someone who's been impacted directly by this, please, reach out to me. Anything I can do to be of service to help alleviate the pain, I'm happy to do that. Well, that's all, folks. Just again, keep praying, stay in a place of gratitude, and let's all hopefully let's all start to heal together from this. Okay, take care and God bless. Love and light. Bye.